The people who are far away, they're naturally attracted to this. They want to see, why are people gathering around here? And this is the concept of social proof. Now to strengthen this even further, as human beings, we have this concept of being in rapport, that we always like to conform to the people. And that is why you'll see that the way people sit is generally reflected by those in front of them and those behind them. So the way the people in the front will generally sit will be reflected by the people behind them. This works a lot better when you see people who are sitting on tables and chairs, that if you see one person, who has this elbow on the table, the people around him will start having the elbow on the table as well. You see one person leaning back on his chair, the people around him start leaning back on their chairs as well. This is the concept of rapport. We naturally react to it. The third concept in terms of influence, and that is that of scarcity and, actually let's just call it scarcity. And I mentioned this story before to some of the brothers, and it's a very interesting tool. So imagine you're running a business right now, and you have a product that isn't selling too well. And I'll give you this particular product. You've gone overseas, you went to India, you went to Pakistan, wherever you come from, and you brought this jewelry back. And it is absolutely hideous. Let's just say it's like turquoise jewelry. No woman's ever going to buy turquoise jewelry. So now you really want to sell this product. What are you going to do with it? The general frame of mind will think, okay, let me sell it at cost price, let me reduce the price, and the product will actually sell better. But according to marketing techniques, according to business techniques, this is the worst thing that you can do. When you decrease the price, it actually decreases the value of that thing in the minds of the people. So what you actually do is, you make it something that is very scarce and very rare. So you'll put as a sign that limited time only, or limited quantity, or last one left. And this is why when you go to stores, if you look at the flyers when they advertise, there are certain products that say, limited quantity. And you go to the store and it's absolutely sold out. And even though it may not be something beneficial, so maybe something like, like dishwashing liquid. Everyone buys it, it's all over the store. But in order to sell it better, they put it for limited time, only limited quantity, and all of a sudden, it sells out. As human beings, the more scarce something becomes, the more we want that object. The fourth point, when it comes to influence, is that of people liking. I want you to think of something that you've needed to get done. Maybe getting your car repaired, maybe getting plumbing done in your house. How exactly did you get it done? The vast majority of people, what they will do is, they will call someone else up, either a friend, either a family relative, or someone else that they trust, and they will ask them, I need a car mechanic, I need some plumbing done in my house, do you know anyone good? And they will recommend someone to you, and you will not even ask this mechanic's credentials, nor will you ask this plumber's credentials, but you'll go ahead and accept it anyways. Now this concept of social liking, what it states is that when you get information from someone that you like, you will accept it a lot more easily. And that is why if you look at speakers in general, I'm talking about Islamic speakers, the more an individual is better to present himself, the more he's able to present himself in terms of the way he dresses and the way he appears, the more likely people are to accept his message. And that is why you'll see some of the best dressers, mashallah, they happen to be some of the speakers. That the more presentable they are, the more people will like their message. Likewise, when it comes to your project, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, sometimes people will not buy into your project. They may not see any need or any necessity for it. So the way that you get them to buy into their project is find someone that they like, someone that they relate well to, a friend of theirs, a relative of theirs. If you can get them to buy into it, just get them to refer it to that individual, and bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, they will buy into it. My second to last point before I conclude, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So what is it that actually prevents people from becoming leaders and stepping up to the plate? There are, obstacles that come from yourself and obstacles that come from others. In terms of obstacles that come from yourself, there are two things. Number one is developing that wow idea. As individuals, we are not very creative. We do not take the time out of the day to actually think about what is beneficial, what is something that we're passionate about, and we don't think about actually helping the community. And this is what the greatest obstacle is, that hard work is very difficult. People do not like working hard. People do not like using their minds to do something productive. Why would I do something productive when I can just sit in front of the TV and have my brain fried for me? So getting that wow idea is something which is very difficult. And this is where a lot of the people will give up. But reality has shown us that those 5% of people who can manage to get that wow idea, they will end up controlling 95% of the people. So if you can figure out that wow idea, what is beneficial, what you're passionate about, and what is profitable, you can actually become a leader in your community. Number 2 is that of procrastination. When it comes to studying, when it comes to getting things done, even when it comes to signing up for Islamic courses, people will always wait for the very last minute to sign up. We shoot ourselves in the foot by procrastinating. And procrastination, it has various reasons to it, but the greatest reason behind it is that we always have this feeling inside of us that there will be a time later on where I can get it done. There will be a time later on where I can get it done. But when it comes for the Muslim, a Muslim who is conscious of death, who is conscious of the Day of Judgment, he will want to get whatever he can do at the current present time. Because we don't know if we're going to survive, we do not know if we're going to live. And this becomes very important. That as you're in this world right now, if you were to pass away today, how would Muslims remember you? How would the people remember you? Would they remember you as the brother who had a nice car? Would they remember you as the brother who was good at football? Would they remember you as the brother who I actually knew nothing about? He was just your average Joe Blow that came to the masjid. No one knew anything about him. You make that conscious decision of what you want people to remember you by. One of the greatest legacies that I personally came across was that of a Christian king. That Christian king who ruled by justice. The Prophet ﷺ described this individual's kingdom that no one is done any injustice inside of his kingdom. And this is what he strove for. Eventually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided this king to Islam, and he became known as Al-Najashi. Now does anyone know how the death of Al-Najashi was conveyed to the Prophet ﷺ? Anyone know? How was it conveyed? Excellent. Jibreel alayhi salam came to the Prophet ﷺ, and he told the Prophet ﷺ, مَاتَ الْيَوْمَ رَجُلٌ صَالِحٌ, that today a righteous man has passed away. And I want you to think about this for a minute. This is not the companions that they're talking amongst themselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose Jibreel alayhi salam himself to come to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam to convey the death of Al-Najashi. Then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam now tells his companions, صَلُّوا عَلَىٰ أَخِيكُمْ فَإِنَّ الْيَوْمَ مَاتَ رَجُلٌ صَالِحٌ, that pray upon your brother, pray his janazah today, for indeed today a righteous man has died. Now you can see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala testifies to his righteousness. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam testifies to his righteousness. Now Al-Najashi, the mistakes that he made, do you think they were forgiven? I would say yes, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, they were forgiven. Why? Because the people who prayed upon him were the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam and his companions. Do you think that when they would make dua for his forgiveness, that Allah would reject it? Obviously not. So this was a legacy that he left behind. He was a king, and he did that ability or that position that he had to the best of his ability. He was proficient in it, and he became just, and this was the legacy that he left behind. So even when it comes to your frame of mind, you want to be very conscious that what is the legacy that you are going to leave behind. Now that was Abu Bakr, that was the Prophet, that was Al-Najashi. Let's get back to you over here. The Prophet ﷺ has said, each and every one of you is a shepherd, and you shall be questioned about your flock. Brothers and sisters, I ask you and I conclude with, where are you going to lead your flock? وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.